Hey there guys, Portal Master here, and in today's video I am back with another recap video on all the rumors and leaks that we have been hearing about the recently rumored Skylanders game, although at this point I don't really know if it's considered recent anymore considering that the rumors started back in June and we're now in September, so it's been, what is that, almost 2.5 months now since the rumors started, probably by the time you're actually going to end up seeing this video. So we've had a lot of time to sort of sit on this, rumor and really try to break it down and analyze it, and I'll be doing like a full thoughts video, which I haven't done since, in months at this point. I did it when the rumors first started coming out, but haven't done anything like that since. But I wanted to first do this video and recap all the stuff that we've been hearing about this game and about these rumors, just so you guys could get a better gauge for, everything that's been going on. So without further ado, let's jump in and let's talk about what all we have heard so far. Okay, so the first video that I made on this topic was this one right here, which is where I broke the news. It's at over 20,000 views, and I want to thank all you guys for that. That's really, really awesome to see that. So, this is when we first found out that a Skylanders game was being rumored, and it was being rumored by a Twitter user by the name of HotGirlVideos69. Weird username, right? Well, when this leak was first told to me, I was really confused on this. I was like, am I supposed to take this seriously? A couple of friends from the olden days of the Skylanders community showed it to me, and I was originally a little skeptical, until we found out that she had called a couple of gaming things correctly otherwise, and seems to be a fairly consistent leaker in terms of consistently leaking content. At this point, the only information that we'd really seen her be able to interact with and call was Crash Bandicoot 4, which, as we can tell, she didn't get anything wrong about the Crash Bandicoot 4 announcement, although she did more or less only hint at the most surface level of details for Crash 4, so things that could have been guessed. However, we still thought, hey, this is interesting, let's pay attention, let's keep up with this. And as time went on, it seems as if she's been on Twitter for quite some time and had leaked a lot of other details as well. However, because she deletes all of her tweets almost a week after she posts them, we can't really fact check anything that happened before this time, with one single exception thanks to an internet article. So let's move on to the next thing. This was quite minor. We found out that she knew about Skylanders since May. That's basically all she said. Hey, I want more information. If somebody can tell me more information about this Skylanders game, please let me know. I want to give it, more attention. I've known about this since May, etc., etc. And we thought this was weird. She's known about the Skylanders game since May. Why are we just now hearing about this? And we'll get more onto that later. This video was titled, Skylanders 2021 could be unique, plus conflicting rumors. We're going to ignore the conflicting rumors part for the most part, just because of the fact that the conflicting rumors don't seem to have any sort of basis to them. They were off a gigantic Reddit leak that had a lot of unreliable and unverifiable information, so we're not going to get into that. So let's just talk about the unique compared to other versions thing. She says the new Skylanders game is going to be unique compared to other versions, and that's basically all that she said in this tweet. And we didn't really know what this meant. We found more out about this later. There's no sense in dwelling on this anymore right this second. This video talked about a massive Reset Era thread that detailed the things that Hot Girl Videos has gotten wrong, which there are definitely a few things that she's gotten wrong. However, most of the things she claims do eventually come true. They just don't come true when she says they will. So it's a little skeptical because sometimes it's easy to guess things. Like, for instance, a more recent example would be the Mario collection. She did correctly predict the Mario collection was real. However, that could have just been a good guess. The thing is, she doesn't tend to say things that can be proven wrong, that are ever proven wrong. It's just things that don't come true when she thinks they will. And you can take this as you will, but basically the Reset Era thread here was talking about how she said, a Nintendo Direct would be on this day and then it didn't happen. Or she said this game would be revealed on this day and then it didn't happen. So far she's actually called a lot of games, but again, they don't come out when she says they're going to. Like, for instance, she predicted a Batman game back in May, which we'll get more into, and then that came true. She predicted Crash 4 months before, but then that came true. Some things that could be predicted, but would be fairly easy to call. So that's what the Reset Era thing was about, and that's what this video was highlighting, that, we really don't know about these rumors, and regardless of what she's saying, or things that she is getting right, she has gotten things wrong, or at least appears to have gotten things wrong on the surface level. So we can't fully trust her, and we can't just go around saying, yes, we believe the leaks, the Skylanders game is coming. We we have to take it all with a grain of salt, and that's what this video was especially trying to highlight. This video is an incredibly mixed bag. So it says leaker calls 2 dates and major insider trusts them. So the major insider I'll talk about first. Jeff Grubb, because she called these 2 dates, again, we'll come back to that. Jeff Grubb is a major industry insider. He called some information surrounding the PlayStation events, and he's a really awesome guy, and I follow him on Twitter. He's a pretty well-respected and trusted insider. And he says that he trusts this account and will never doubt them. So that to me was very good, going in her favor. So what were the 2 dates that she called? Well, she tweeted out 612, 619, 76, and 714, which wound up being dates. The first two, 612 and 619, wound up being the reveal of Min Min as a fighter in Super Smash Bros. And the reveal of the Paper Mario Origami King overview trailer. So she got those 2 dates correct. And then we started wondering, well, what's going to happen on 7/6, on 7/14? Then that was, of course, back in July. Well, nothing ended up happening. However, I will say, to her credit, I tweeted at her when I discovered this tweet, when I discovered, the original things, and she said she was not sure if those 2 dates would actually come true because she'd heard about things being shuffled around. So it's not like she doubled down on those dates and was like, yes, something's definitely happening here. And since this has happened, she's definitely become a lot more wary of tweeting out dates. I've noticed sort of her patterns with leaking things. So that's interesting to point out, but she did call 2 of them correctly for sure. The next 2 are definitely a lot more iffy. Although I want to point this out, it's becoming increasingly obvious that Nintendo delayed a lot of their titles from earlier in this year, especially the Mario Collection. It's starting to look like that Mario Collection might have been planned for, 5 months ago. It's really difficult to say what was planned for predictions, and that's why I guess I'm so lenient on calling her out for missing dates, because really with COVID, so many things have been delayed, and it's really hard to expect, things to be revealed when they're expected to be, because nothing's gone according to plan with all the COVID stuff. So that was what this video was all about. This video was not about our resident Twitter leaker, it was actually about another source. It was the Toys for Bob hiring reports, and something that I thought was mighty strange. Read it out. Toys for Bob hiring for new game plus leaker tweet storm. The tweet storm is fairly unimportant at this point. It wound up being more or less insignificant. So, the Toys for Bob hiring positions were for a senior technical artist, a build engineer, a lead engineer, a network engineer, and a senior multiplayer network engineer. Why is that significant? And it's significant because no game that Toys for Bob is working on that we're aware of has multiplayer capabilities. While multiplayer is rumored for Crash, it is not confirmed, and there is less than a month now until the launch of Crash 4. So unless Crash 4 has some type of hidden multiplayer capacity, then Toys for Bob is hiring for some type of multiplayer project that we don't know about yet. And of course, the only upcoming games that we are really well aware of that they could be developing is, one, they could be developing the new Spyro game. But Spyro is probably not a multiplayer game. The other option is they could be working on a new game like Crash Bash. They could be working on Crash Team Racing of some type. However, we also think that's a little strange because typically we would expect Beanox to be working on the new Crash Team Racing. So we really don't know what this could be for if it's not for Crash 4. And the answer that I proposed was, well, it's far from confirmed, but it could be a Skylanders game, especially because Skylanders was well known for being a multiplayer sibling-type co-op adventure, and that was why I thought that that was significant to point out. Again, far from confirmed, but something I thought we should take note of. Following this, for the first time in almost a month, our leaker mentioned Skylanders again. She tripled down. She said that the return of Skylanders is confirmed for her, which is interesting because she has, I've noticed, become less confident in everything she calls. This comes again with, missing dates and trying to retain her credibility. She works very hard to be taken, seriously and have her rumors taken at a credible level. So to me, it was interesting that she would triple down on something like this and say, yes, Skylanders is coming back. Its return is confirmed. Again, she could still just be completely lying about this, or could be completely misinformed. So, again, this doesn't mean anything, but I thought it was interesting and uncharacteristic of her behavior. But see, here's where the bombshell news ended up dropping, and this is where the last recap video left off. Back in July when I made the recap video for the first month or so of the rumors, this is where we left. Rumored Skylanders game has toys to life and GPS function. from the line that I basically included in the thumbnail from it's essentially a news article from a gaming outlet. It says, the potential release date for a new Batman game wasn't the only leak at Hot Girl Videos 69 decided to shout out today. According to her, a new Skylanders game is in development using a new model for Toys to Life and GPS functionality. Furthermore, she claims Nintendo is working on some new amiibo functionality. I did a whole video on the amiibo functionality. We're not getting into this. Let's talk about the Batman thing she said. The Batman game that she had talked about in this article eventually did end up getting announced quite recently. I'm sure you're well aware of it. She called it months ago. Again, a predictable call, but again, she did call it. But this is the first time we actually got any real details about Skylanders, and this article was from May, which is when we originally found out she knew about Skylanders from. If you'll remember, one of the first videos I made in this was, you know, this information was from May. She's been holding on to this information from May. Why is she just sharing it with us now? Well, she did share it. She did share the news back in May, but she deleted them. And this is how we found out about it. And she says in this that it has GPS functionality and Toys to Life, which threw a huge wrench in what we thought. Because one, and up until this point, we thought, hey, this could be a remaster. This could be, you know, Spyro's Adventure just reimagined, brought back up to current gen standards or next gen standards or something like that. Maybe they'll do away with Toys to Life. But no, that's not what they're doing. We thought that was very weird. But moreover, she had talked about this in May and received absolutely no internet clout for it, and she still continued to talk about it, which I thought was interesting because she gained a lot of traction from the Skylanders leak. She said that it's the single leak that's brought her the most internet attention, which is probably largely thanks to, honestly, all these videos. But because of that, I thought it was interesting that when she originally talked about it in May, if she received no attention for it and was doing this all for attention, it seems like she wouldn't have said anything more. But then she kept talking. Not confirmed. Not confirmed. Not trying to suggest that it is. Not trying to even use that as strong evidence as to why this could be real. But I thought that was interesting. And now we're going to get on with the stuff that happened since the last recap video. We found interviews. We found interviews from the old Toys for Bob CEO where he talks about plans for GPS functionality. The first was an interview that was very difficult to hear from the original launch of Spyro's Adventure, where a user asked, you know, how do you want the Skylander genre to evolve as time goes on? And he said, well, I want the Skylander to feel like your friend, to feel like your protector, to feel like you can take him in real life and he'll be your companion. We never saw that in Skylanders. We never saw that. And he specifically said that technology wasn't quite where they wanted it yet for that to happen. And I think it's interesting because we never saw anything like that in the original franchise, but it gets even better because in an interview with Family Gamer TV, our same CEO said, you know, we want someday to be able to be like, take your Skylander to Times Square and get a reward, which was GPS functionality. To me, this was huge. This is still one of the biggest things that makes me think that the GPS, you know, rumor is not far-fetched at all or in the slightest. Like, this is something that is really deep down in my heart, probably one of the biggest reasons why I'm giving this leaker any credibility at all, are these old interviews. Because this all lines up. If Toys for Bob is the developer of this game, these old interviews seem to make this plausible. So I don't think that our Twitter leaker knew about these particular two interviews. I only knew about this one. I didn't know about the one from 2011, only the one from the Giants era. So I thought, man, if this woman is trying to jerk us around and trying to really get us to believe this rumor, she really, really did her research. But that's really not what I think this is. I don't know. I'm hopeful, but again, not confirmed. Let's move on. Toys for Bob was known for using very advanced 3D printer technology in order to test a lot of the Skylanders, and this video was a very brief thing where we basically discovered that, well, Toys for Bob still holds on to their 3D printers, and you really are not going to be able to see it up there other than in those blurry things, but basically that giant red thing is a 3D printed, like, lizard dragon head thingy, and doesn't really look like it's from Spyro, and doesn't really look like it's from Crash. It kind of looks like it's from something else. Could it just be, you know, someone 3D printed it in their home? Possibly. Someone wanted to do it for recreational purposes? Yes. Could it be for a special level in, you know, Crash Bandicoot? Yes, it could be. But I thought it was interesting. Once again, if this is real, it does seem to be hinting towards it. But see, here's when the leaker started to lose some of my faith in her leaks. She says, leaker says Skylanders news is coming in the near future. She says, it's coming at some point, and someone's like, well, when's it coming? And she's like, near future. And that's really all it was. And we thought, wait, what? I thought this was going to be, because at this point, we're all thinking, it's probably a 2022 game, right? Like, 2021 seems way too early, especially with the Spyro game, but she says, near future. What? That doesn't line up with a lot of what we've known about the Activision release cycle, and this is really, I'm not going to lie, this started to sow some doubt into me. But it gets even weirder. But before we get to the weirdness, I guess we should talk about this video, which is a fairly important video, which was at the Activision's earnings call, where Activision says they want to expand their teams to make more games. If you don't know this, Activision a few years ago lost Bungie, who makes Destiny, because they essentially did not like playing by Activision's rules and wanted to develop Destiny 2 and the way that they wanted to. They didn't want to play, again, by Activision's rules. So that huge split left a huge revenue gap for Activision, and now they want to make more games to try to catch up on that. And I don't see them making another shooting game. I don't see them making something that could potentially cut into, you know, Call of Duty's market. I don't think they can beat Destiny because, I mean, we saw how Anthem performed. And so I'm like, well, they're probably going to go the kids route. Now, does this mean just making more Crash and more Spyro games? It could. Does it mean bringing back Skylanders? It could. There's a lot of ways they could go with this. Could they do more remasters? Yes, they absolutely could. Could they make more Tony Hawk Pro Skater games? Yes, they could. There's a lot of ways this could go, but it was something I thought important enough to mention in a video. So there you have that. We're almost to the finish line. We're almost caught up. So here we have, leaker claims new title is a reboot and predicts major gaming event. So very quickly she's just like, yeah, the Skylanders game, it's a reboot. And that's basically all she said. And there's a lot of ways we can interpret that. We don't have time to unpack all that in this video, but you know, there is that. The more important thing from this video is that she called a major gaming event. She predicted, I think maybe back in August or maybe late July, that Valve would announce a brand new game sometime in September or October. I can't remember what it was. And Jeff Keighley recently announced that there would be a Valve showcase and that they would make some announcements there. So there you have that. She called that event. There was no pretext for that. You know, I had not heard anything about a Valve event being planned, so she called that. She really seems to have. She could have gotten, you know, a one-off, she could have made a lucky guess, but hey, she did predict it. There you have that. So, let's move on to the final piece that we have to talk about. This is the single most conflicting and confusing video I have made on these leaks the entire time. Leaker expected a Skylanders Reboot announcement by this point. Huh? I don't understand this. She says, I really would have thought they would have announced the new Skylanders game by now. They haven't announced it yet. And I'm in the Discord right after this tweet comes out and I'm like, what? A Skylanders announcement by now makes no sense to me. This continued to sow the seeds of doubt in my mind of these rumors. There's still good stuff going for the leaker. Don't get me wrong, this doesn't discredit her. This does not at all discredit her, but it doesn't exactly look the best either. And here's why, thinking, you know, so normally I'm very tolerant on the, it was delayed by COVID thing, but this is a little iffy because it doesn't really make sense for them to have brought Skylanders back in 2020, especially when you're dealing with Crash 4. Now, Skylanders, the thing is, has always been an October release or a late September release, and the reason for that was because when it was a Toys to Life game, they tried to hype it up for the Christmas sales. They tried to put it out, you know, a few weeks before Black Friday, get a little bit of hype going, and then really try to do sell-through through the holiday season, and honestly, most of their sales were probably done during the holiday period. So, if she was expecting an announcement by now, then that seems to have implied one of two things. Either it was originally targeted as a holiday release this year, which is strange to me because we now know that Crash is our holiday release. Possible that Crash could have come out in the summer, maybe originally, and then Skylanders was going to come out in October. Maybe, I don't know. But if she expected it like around this time, and maybe it wasn't ever planned for this year to launch, then it seems like if you announced it in September or October of this year, you wouldn't have the game until, summer of next year. Which is weird because it was never a summer game, and the idea of doing a summer release is weird to me. All other Toys to Life games targeted fall releases for the same reason as Skylanders. It seems very weird for them to break from that mold now. Unless their idea was to announce it like early and really try to build up media hype for it, I don't get this. I don't get this at all. This makes no sense to me. Something's up here, something's not making sense. Some of her information is wrong if she expected a release, or this isn't Toys to Life. After all, that could be true. If it's somehow not a Toys to Life game, then a summer release starts to make a whole lot more sense because you don't need to target the holidays necessarily. Or it's announced early for a release much later. I have no idea what this is, and this is where we are. There's been no further development since this video came out. And I'm thrown for a loop, y'all. So, I'll have a video coming out trying to unpack all this information. This video is going to be like 20 minutes as is. It's an insanely long video. Thank you so much if you stuck around for this whole thing. It's definitely a lot briefer than like rewatching the entire playlist again though. That I'll tell you for sure. So, there we have it. Leave your comments down below for your thoughts on this because I'm still very conflicted on all this stuff. I'm curious where the community consensus is now. Do you guys trust her? Do you guys not trust her? I really want to know what you have to say. That's all for now. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Feel free to follow me on my social medias linked down in the description below, as well as joining the Discord for more discussion with fellow Skylanders fans so you can hop on down there. Thank you again. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks again for watching. I just wanted to take some time to thank my generous patrons on Patreon, including APYT Skylanders, Haley, Cinderclash, Adrian, OctoBoom, True Blue Dogemon, and HypnoticOcelot.